Alright, little twin. So we got 5 most disturbing 4chan threads. I don't know if that's Reddit or not, but I don't know. We're gonna get into this and see what they talk about in here. Ooh,
Gas mask.
gas mask.
On the 19th of September 2017, an anonymous 4chan user posted a picture of a gas mask, 2 bottles of vinegar, and a jug of bleach, captioned, "About to test out this gas mask." While some brushed it off, thinking
Wait, so he's trying to like gas himself? What? With bleach and vinegar? Would that even work?
that the OP was just messing around, a few showed genuine curiosity and egged on the OP.
Post results if you live.
Okay. Post results if you live. However, this curiosity turned into concern when the OP returned with an update.
I ain't gonna lie, bro. If I was on one of these like sites or whatever, and some dude was like, "Yeah, I'm finna test this out on myself," I'm not the type of person that'd be like, "Oh no, don't do it." I'm gonna tell the nigga to do it. I want to see, man. If you trying to harm yourself, I'm gonna just see what's up. Keep it a basic get that wowski, man.
20 minutes later, stating, "What could go wrong?
A lot could go wrong."
Alongside this, he posted a picture of the vinegar being poured into a mysterious yellow substance, which looked shockingly similar to concentrated chlorine gas. For those who don't know, chlorine gas is a deadly war chemical that was used by the German army during the First World War. More importantly, the only chemicals needed to synthesize this dangerous gas are bleach and vinegar.
The Germans were doing more than just that. We know what they were using the gas for.
The exact materials OP had with him. The OP either didn't know about the gas or seriously underestimated its danger. Unfortunately, by the time he realized the gravity of his situation, it was already too late. Because just a few minutes later, he returned with a disturbing update. "Holy, it hurts. Might have to go to the hospital." This also included a picture that showed his arm developing blisters and turning an alarming shade of red.
So he like
These
spilled it on
symptoms
himself?
matched perfectly with known signs of chlorine gas exposure.
Acute exposure to chlorine gas initially causes coughing, eye and nose, and irritation. Big word for Elmo. And a burning sensation in the chest, airway constriction, and another big word. Pulmonary edema may occur. Chlorine irritates the skin and can cause burning pain, inflation, and blisters.
Sparking immediate
Why do white boys be doing this, yo? I feel like only white boys be doing like stuff like this, yo. Like, and it's crazy.
concern for the safety of OP and anyone in his vicinity. "You fool, that will burn your skin and soak into your surroundings. Legit question, please tell me you don't have an apartment/pets or roommates. Depending on your mixture, you just messed up big time. Let's say you made only 4 ounces of gas. That comes out to 29,962 parts per million. Concentrations of about 400 parts per million and above are generally fatal over 30 minutes, and at 1,000 parts per million and above, fatality ensues within only a few minutes. Dude, go vent yourself somewhere and literally bathe with a garden hose. You are going to melt otherwise. It acts on flesh, not just on breathing pathways. It melts flesh, which makes people drown in their own melted lungs. But your arms can get messed up too."
Dang, imagine trying to breathe and you're like breathing in your own meat.
While the other users were panicking, the OP made 2 other posts, each showing his arm in increasingly worse condition. "It's starting to peel and fall off. Still hurts." With his last reply simply stating, "Goodbye." After posting this update, the OP vanished from the thread, leading many to believe that he might have actually passed away due to this experiment gone wrong. Some even claimed the
You
incident
see what happens when you want attention, when you crave attention that much? You do dumb stuff like that. Never do that.
had taken the lives of several of his neighbors. However, despite extensive searching, I wasn't able to find any news reports mentioning such a gruesome incident. If something of this magnitude had actually happened, it would have definitely made headlines. More importantly,
Probably.
I couldn't find a single credible source confirming just the OP's death either. In other words, we don't know what happened to him after his last post. The lack of any news coverage could suggest that the OP may have survived the chlorine gas exposure, possibly after calling emergency services and being rushed to the hospital. But that's highly unlikely. Even in moderate concentration, chlorine gas can end someone's life in minutes. Yet the OP kept posting about his worsening state for over 30 minutes after creating the deadly chemical. Which brings us to the other possibility, that this whole thing was completely fake from the beginning. To some viewers,
Yeah,
the
probably
peeling
just
skin on
probably
his
just
arm
want
looked
attention.
suspiciously like makeup, or at most some well-done special effects. A now deleted user on Reddit even added a personal anecdote to back this theory, stating, "I have a face mask exfoliator that goes on wet and looks pretty much the same as Anon's skin in the first pic, and peels off like the following pics. See how the skin is peeling off and shows regular skin underneath? If he was actually burned, the skin underneath would look red and or bleeding. He probably just grabbed one of his girlfriend's exfoliators and slapped it on because it looked red enough to fool people." If the whole thing was staged, it would also explain some of the strange behavior I noticed from the OP. Things like, why did he stay in the bathroom with the hazardous gas for so long instead of rushing out immediately? And how was he able to endure the excruciating pain he must have been in?
Okay, but what if he had vents? Maybe that's why he stayed in there. You know, some bathrooms have vents. You turn the light on, you turn the vent on, and it like sucks up all the air. What if he had one of those?
All while taking perfectly framed still pictures of his arm. However, despite all the signs suggesting it was a complete hoax, there's still no definitive way to know for sure. Maybe one day a news article will be found that announced the OP's death, or perhaps the OP will come forward and reveal the truth. Until then, the gas mask incident remains one of the most disturbing threads in 4chan history.
I don't know if that's that disturbing. I'm gonna keep it a bean. I don't know if that's that disturbing. It wasn't that disturbing to me. Honestly, if he did die, I'm not even gonna say rest in peace, man. People like that gotta go. You do dumb stuff, you acquire dumb rewards, consequences, or whatever. I mean, some niggas just gotta go, man. Can't be feeling too bad for someone.
Bank robber.
Bank
On
robber.
August 20, 2015, a 4chan user posted his plans to rob a bank later that day, stating, "Okay, today is the day. I'm going to walk into the bank at 3 p.m. with sunglasses, a hat, a sweater, a BB gun, and this note. I'll get out, dump the sweater and BB gun, and ride out on my bike back to the hotel. I'm serious. Wish me luck." Alongside this was a picture of a handwritten note that he planned to hand over to the bank teller, stating things like, "I want $5,000, $150 bills only, and I have a gun in my jacket." However, threads like these aren't anything new on 4chan. More often than not, it's just some anonymous user who's bored, trolling, or desperate for attention. So, despite the OP's insistence on being serious about his plans, this one seemed no different. One user even recognized the OP from a previous thread where he talked about robbing the bank for $20,000 instead. To make matters worse, the OP didn't use a VPN before, allowing someone to trace his approximate location back to Jacksonville. By this point, most users saw the OP as nothing more than a clueless wannabe. However, while everyone was making fun of him, the OP did what no one expected. He followed through with his plans, setting off a manhunt that would last for weeks.
No way.
It started with him showing off the BB gun he brought to the robbery, and getting drunk to calm his nerves. From there, he stayed active in the thread and kept everyone updated on his whereabouts. He also ditched anonymity and began posting under the Anon Dump username so others could follow his updates more easily. Minutes before the planned time, he posted about someone stealing his bike, which he was going to use for the robbery before.
Why you try to rob a bank, yo, and all you took was your bike, and you walk out with a sack of money, and your bike is gone? I would be so mad, bro. I ain't gonna lie. Like, you just messed up my plan like that, bro. I'd be so heated.
Going completely silent. This led many to believe that the plan was cancelled, but around 25 minutes later, Anon Dump returned with images of the money he stole, along with a detailed description of what he did and what he was doing next. However, while he saw himself as a master criminal, the police weren't far behind. His hat and glasses did little to hide his identity, allowing investigators to plaster his face across news networks.
What a
They also
dummy.
put a $3,000 reward for any information that could lead to his arrest. This left the OP fearing
That's
for
all
his
he
life
stole.
as they
All he stole was like 3 bands. From the picture that we saw, all it was like 3 bands. So if they catch him, they just gonna give the person who gives the cops the information, they just gonna give the rest of the money that the robber stole on top of like what they don't have from the 3 bands. Come on now. You ain't that slick, police department.
The gravity of his actions began to sink in. "Hey guys, guy who robbed the bank here. My face is on the news and there's a $3,000 reward for tips leading to my capture. I'm scared. Robbing a bank wasn't worth it at all. I have like $4,800 left. I'm scared of leaving the hotel. I want to get out of here, but somebody may see me. I'm trapped." And this fear was justified. He was now a fugitive who was being actively pursued by the police.
What a dummy,
On top
bro.
of that, he also had a BB gun on him, which looked like a real gun at first glance. If the officers barged into his hotel room and saw this gun nearby, there was a real possibility he could lose his life over a relatively small amount. Despite his growing fear, he continued updating everyone on 4chan about his whereabouts until the 21st of August around 3 p.m. when, after hiding in a hotel room for nearly 24 hours, he managed to escape the city and vanish from the thread.
Oh.
Now, it's unclear what happened next, but
Did they
based
catch
on
him?
what I've seen, it's likely the investigators were already monitoring his updates on 4chan. And his post about taking a cab from the hotel gave them the lead they needed to track him down. On September 2nd, 2015, authorities arrested 26-year-old Pedro Smith, aka Anon Dump, about 70 miles from the crime scene in Gainesville.
What a
He was
dummy,
charged
bro.
with armed robbery and faced a
Damn.
minimum of 10 years in prison.
That's just for the
after a trial in
firearm.
September, he was sentenced to only 3 years in prison, which didn't make sense to some people on the internet. How did he get away with such a light sentence after robbing a bank and hiding?
It was probably his first offense. I ain't gonna lie. It was probably his first offense. You feel me? It's probably that dude's first offense. That's probably why he got off for only 3 years. Judge was like, all right, nigga, you only got away for like what 24 hours. We gonna give you 3 years, and that's about it.
From the police for so many days. A few people looked into his whereabouts after his release in March of 2018 and discovered that he was living in a luxurious home worth over $1.5 million in Miami. This
Damn.
pointed to the possibility that he had wealthy parents who could also afford top-tier lawyers to help reduce his sentence. In
that
other
makes
words,
sense.
the only reason Pedro had for robbing a bank and potentially risking his life was to gain the attention and approval of other users on 4chan.
That's probably what it was too, bro. Like, he got rich parents. His parents were probably never in his life, never interacted with him, never showed him any type of love. And then what did he do? He decided to get on some dumb app with a whole bunch of other dummies and boast about robbing a bank, say he's gonna rob a bank, and, you know, getting that attention. That's probably all it was. Just attention, and him just being a dummy.
The Monon Tunnels.
The Monon
In April of
Tunnels.
2018, a 4chan user made a post seeking information about a disturbing picture they recently came across. It read, "On one of the recent iceberg chart threads, someone mentioned the Monon tunnels not being on the iceberg. When I went to Google what these tunnels were, the only results I got were the original thread and pic related. Does anyone know more about it? I don't know how to read EXIF data." Coupled with the post was an image that looked like the aftermath of a horrific crime scene. It depicts two masked
Is that a body? Yo. That's either... Bro. Ain't no way, bro. That's a body, bro.
figures standing in a grass field at night, their index fingers raised towards the sky. Behind them is what looks like the remains of a young child in a red jacket, lying face down on the grass.
I hope that's not a kid, yo.
Unfortunately, no one on 4chan had any clue what the OP was talking about either. One user did claim to have seen a similar image back in the 2000s when they first started using 4chan, but they didn't provide any further information. The contents of the image also divided the community in two. Some speculated that this was the trophy photo the two men took after ending a life. They look like hunters posing with a fresh kill.
They do,
while
honestly.
others weren't so convinced. I feel like this might just be some kind of photo shoot. You know, like a bunch of kids hanging out and they decided why not take some pictures, which led them to taking this picture just for them to show it around on the internet for shock or something. Which begs the question, what is this really? I tried searching for answers myself, however information surrounding this image is surprisingly hard to come by. For starters, the OP mentioned an iceberg chart thread in their post, but never provided the link or even the name of the thread. Looking at the image itself, there's not much we can gather from it either. There are no visible landmarks or even stars in the sky that could help us pinpoint the location where the image was taken. The only clue we have is the name, the Monon Tunnels, referring to the tiny town called Monon, Indiana. But even that's not much help, since the town is littered with hundreds of flat grass patches that could have served as the backdrop for this image. The camera noise makes it near impossible to estimate the year this image was taken based on the image quality as well. And there wasn't any useful information in its embedded data either. I also couldn't find any exact matches on the internet outside the original 4chan through reverse image searching. However, while looking for similar images, I came across something that could potentially clue us into the origin of this unsettling image. You see, there are two distinct possibilities for what it represents. First is that it was taken by a couple of serial killers as trophy photo proof of their horrible crime. But I wasn't able to find any matching incident that happened in Monon or its surrounding area. Even if the killers were never caught, there would still probably be a report where the victim's description aligns with the person we see in the image.
Right? Like, would there be like
the second, more likely possibility?
Would there be like a missing person report going around the town? You know what I'm saying? Like, it had to be like it. I don't know. Either these dudes put this body in acid, or it's just a fake It's just a fake body or something.
This was simply a group of friends, and the person lying in the background is actually an adult who likely passed out after a night of drinking. Now, there's no way to know if the disturbing feel of the image was intentional or not, but the possibility
for sure
of
intentional.
A completely harmless picture
Absolutely
is
intentional.
High. Reverse image searching it brings up hundreds of similar photos with people having fun and lying down on a patch of grass at night. That being said, this is nothing more than conjecture on my part, and the reality could be anything. Then there's also the question of how the OP got their hands on this image if it's nowhere else to be found on the internet. Sadly, it's been over 7 years since the original thread, meaning it's unlikely we'll ever uncover the truth. Spoon and duct tape experiment.
Damn, my freaking chair is always
freaking an
creaking.
Anonymous 4chan user posted a fun science experiment for others to try.
I hate this chair.
The instructions were as follows. Go to your kitchen and find a nice metal spoon. Teaspoons work too, but normal ones are better.
Okay.
Get yourself a lighter. The bigger the flame, the better.
So we're gonna be
duct tape and wrap it around the handle.
So basically, he's just giving instructions on how to smoke meth. Okay.
About 4 to 6 layers. Start heating up the spoon with the lighter. Make it really, really hot. Holding it just above the flame for about 2 minutes should work. Go to a faucet and turn on cold water at full force. Hold the spoon directly under the faucet. Post results. At first glance, this experiment looked like it had something to do with steam. Maybe pressing the hot spoon under the faucet would instantly vaporize the water, filling the room with a sudden burst of steam or fog, something along those lines.
Nah, they're cooking heroin.
In reality, the results were much worse. Whoever thought of this wicked experiment did so with the intention of hurting people, and unfortunately, their plan worked better than they could have expected. Within the first hour of the thread going live, nearly a dozen people had injured themselves attempting to follow the instructions.
Why would you listen to some random person telling you to do something crazy? Like, who does that? I would never do that.
I tried it. At first, it steamed in my face like crazy.
See, that's why I can't really feel bad for people who do dumb stuff like this, because it's just like, bro, you don't even know this person, you don't even know what you're getting into. Like...
And then the spoon started ticking and split into 3 parts, one shooting through a plate, one through a cut, and the last barely missed me. I don't believe this, so I thought I would try this, expecting something cool would happen, like a lot of smoke. But instead, I got a shrapnel spoon. It nearly exploded in my hand and shards went off in all directions, causing me to take cover.
Deserved.
This nearly cost me my life.
Deserved.
I'm not coming here again. OP, why? I covered my face expecting steam. My hands are bleeding so much it hurts. No one do this. Extreme cooling causes metals to burst. Now, 4chan is no stranger to causing widespread harm with these cool experiments, like the one I covered in my previous 4chan video. However, this one stood out for just how dangerously destructive it was. It used extremely common household items like duct tape and a spoon. And because it didn't involve any chemicals, people were far less cautious about just how dangerous it could be. According to one explanation, heating the spoon causes the inner layers of the tape to become extremely hot, almost to the point of melting, while the outer layers remain cool enough to still touch. Then, as the hot spoon comes under cold water, it quickly cools down. But since the inner tape around the handle is still scorching hot, it causes extreme temperature and pressure differences within the spoon, causing it to explode.
Man, ain't no spoon doing all that, bro. Ain't no spoon doing all that, bro. Come on now.
No, everywhere. And while the damage on 4chan was already immense, that was only the beginning. From there, this experiment spread like wildfire to other popular forum sites like Newgrounds, claiming even more victims in the process. The only silver lining here is that the spoon and duct tape experiment copy pasta has since faded into obscurity. So, at the very least, it hopefully won't be causing any more injuries. Epileptic attack. Back in 2008, some 4chan users got together and came up with one of the most cruel pranks in the site's history. Now, unfortunately, most of that thread has been lost to time. The only surviving proof I could find was this screenshot detailing what to do, stating, Epileptic forum raid. 1. Make account. 2. Spam flashing gifs, party hard, etc. 3. Troll the user base. 4. Question marks. 5. Profit.
Profiting
Our
off what,
target
though?
was the Epilepsy Foundation, a non-profit dedicated to supporting individuals with epilepsy and helping them find the care they need. After agreeing on a plan, the group of anonymous users headed over to the Foundation's website and exploited a security vulnerability to gain unrestricted access to the support forum. From there, they used a script to post hundreds of messages embedded with flashing animated GIFs with hopes of catching visitors off guard and triggering
Yo,
seizures.
why does it look like it's moving?
Tragically, this was just as effective as they expected. Within seconds of the attack, dozens of users began experiencing intense migraines, with some even suffering full-blown seizures. One of the site's visitors, 33-year-old Rianne Foltz, described her painful experience in a later interview, stating, It was a spike of pain in my head, and the lockup that only
Why
happened
would she
in
listen
3
to that,
hours.
though?
I don't think I've had a seizure like that in about a year. She was just one of many victims that were swept up in what can only be described as a truly evil act. All the while, the 4chan attackers were celebrating their victory, laughing at the victim's pain, and calling the attack incredible and amazing. Fortunately, the Epilepsy Foundation's IT department managed to quickly take control of the situation before it escalated into a widespread crisis. And while I couldn't find any solid proof, a few sources suggest that the attack may have triggered an FBI investigation.
I mean, yeah, it
Unfortunately,
should,
because
dude.
of 4chan's anonymity, the people responsible for this horrible attack were never identified or held accountable.
Dude, there are some freaking evil people in this goddamn world, son. Like who thinks of something like that, bro? That's actually crazy, yo.